General safety requirements. For subcontractors during storm restoration. Safety. The ability to safely perform work is vital to the success of our industry. Safety is at the core of MC Storm Services. We are devoted to a healthy workplace free of injury, and we are committed to the safety of our subcontractors and our employees. In order to promote the highest quality of work, our subcontractors are required to meet industry standards through a strenuous vetting process. Unsafe practices will not be tolerated, and safety will take precedence over any other requirements or expectations. Failure to abide by these safety expectations will result in immediate dismissal. General. The expectations outlined below are set forth, without question, by MC Storm Services. In addition to these guidelines, rules, and expectations, all subcontractors are also required to follow guidelines set forth by OSHA 1910.269. If either of the rules cause confusion or contradiction, crew and team leaders should choose the more stringent expectations between OSHA and MC Storm Services. Personnel. Subcontractors are trusted and expected to hire and vet competent and qualified employees to perform quality work safely and efficiently. In addition, subcontractor will always provide competent and qualified supervision on the work site. At least 2 employees at each work site should be trained in first aid and CPR. Driving safety. Seatbelts are always mandatory while in a moving vehicle, regardless of the travel distance. This includes, but is not limited to mobilization, demobilization, moving around staging location, on customer property, between poles, etc. Cellular devices are not permitted while driving a moving vehicle. Personnel should not be texting while operating a moving vehicle. Subcontractors will check for proper licensing and training for personnel according to the class of vehicle being operated by said personnel. All vehicles should be inspected on all sides to ensure no obstacles are present and it is safe to operate before the vehicle is in motion. Before leaving the staging area, between jobs, etc., perform a driving job safety analysis, JSA, so every driver knows the next destination. A safe driving distance should be kept between vehicles when following or in motion. No tailgating should occur. It is pertinent that all drivers observe speed limits and observe surroundings while operating a vehicle. Vehicle Safety Checklist. Be sure all materials and equipment are properly secured. Conduct a 360-degree walk-around inspection before operating vehicle. Fasten seatbelt and check mirrors, adjust as needed. Avoid backing up, use a spotter if possible. Use road cones around vehicle while parked. Traveling to work locations. Conduct a driving JSA or tailboard meeting before driving to the next destination. Follow at a safe distance and observe speed limits. Pay close attention to changing road and weather conditions. Nothing is normal during storm, so expect the unexpected. Professionalism and fitness for duty. Any person working under or representing MC Storm Services is always expected to act in a professional manner worthy of respect. MC Storm Services will not tolerate any unprofessional behavior. Any person working under or representing MC Storm Services will be drug and alcohol free. Alcohol, firearms, and illegal drugs, not medically prescribed, are prohibited in or around all MC Storm Services work sites, including staging areas and in transit from job to job. Personal appearance and conduct. Clothing shall be free of offensive slogans, graphics, writing, etc. Any fire retardant clothing should be free of holes, tears, rips, etc. FR shirt sleeves should not be rolled up, sleeves should be fully covering arms and buttoned up. Any discussion or conversation with customers or property owners should be minimal, professional, and free of opinion. Any customers should be referred directly to a MC Storm Services representative or utility representative. Avoid loud, rowdy behavior and the use of inappropriate language in public, both in individual conversations and while using communication devices such as radios and cell phones. Respect the property of customers and others, both public and private, and avoid any damages. Report damages to a MC Storm Services representative or utility representative. Any and all media inquiries should be referred to your utility representative. Failure to observe these conduct expectations may result in corrective action or dismissal. Job Safety Analysis. A job safety analysis, JSA, also known as a pre-job briefing or tailboard meeting, will be held at the beginning of each job and/or anytime significant changes occur that may affect safety on the job. Each crew member must sign his or her name on this briefing to affirm their presence at the job briefing. An MC Storm Services representative will provide a JSA form for each foreman to perform a proper JSA before work begins. This briefing should contain the hazards and mitigation associated with the job or task at hand. The following topics should be covered during every JSA. Identify person in charge, PIC. Emergency procedures and nearest medical facility. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Tasks to be performed/work procedure and hazards associated with the job or special precautions energy source controls. Traffic, cover-up, and grounding. Incident reporting. All events, injuries, electrical flashes, vehicle accidents, incidents involving the public and customer outages, regardless of severity, shall be reported immediately to your MC Storm Services representative. See the attached incident report form. The following should be reported: type of accident, number of persons involved, location of accident, GPS coordinates are ideal. Inform MC Storm Services representative if rescue, ambulance, wrecker, etc. was needed or called. Required personal protective equipment, PPE. Employees shall be required to use, at a minimum, the following PPE at all times while performing storm restoration work on an MC Storm Services project: hard hat, safety glasses, work gloves, reinforced toe boots, reflective vest. Employees will be required to use, at a minimum, the PPE listed above and the following PPE at all time while performing work on a pole, structure, cabinet, or vault that has a conductor attached that has been tested, de-energized, and grounded. This includes work performed from an insulated aerial device or from the pole during climbing operations. Class 3 rubber gloves, long-sleeved fire-retardant shirt, fall protection harness, aerial device or in a manhole/vault. Fall protection device, buck squeeze or similar OSHA-approved device, when climbing or working from a structure. Employees will be required to use, at a minimum, the PPE listed above and the following PPE at all time while performing work on a pole, structure, cabinet, or vault that has a conductor attached that has an energized conductor attached. This includes work performed from an insulated aerial device from the pole during climbing operations. Class 3 rubber gloves, Class 3 rubber sleeves, long-sleeved fire retardant, fall protection harness, aerial device or in a manhole/vault. Fall protection device, buck squeeze or similar OSHA-approved device, when climbing or working from a structure. These are basic guidelines for required PPE. Depending on the project location and special environmental conditions, there may be additional required PPE, V-watch, chaps for sawing, earplugs, face shields, etc. Grounding procedures. All circuits and equipment shall be considered energized at full voltage until de-energized, tested, and grounded. All conductors must be de-energized and tested before installing grounds. Testing must be done with an approved voltage detector, Salisbury Model 4667 or similar device. Fuzzing with hand tool is not an acceptable method for testing a line to be de-energized. Grounds must be applied at the source where conductor was de-energized and at any open points where line could be energized. Box grounds need to be applied at your open point, it must be tagged, and have a pole wrap applied. Tags and pole wraps will be furnished by your MC Storm Services representative. Climbing poles and structures. Climbing of poles and structures must be performed by a trained and qualified employee. A fall protection device must always be used while climbing. Employee must always be secured to the pole or structure. 100% fall protection. Before climbing, all poles must be sounded and checked to a depth of 12 to 18 inches below grade for stability. Climbing operations must be noted and discussed on all JSAs or pre-job briefings, including but not limited to testing and sounding pole condition at all levels, and soil stability where the pole is located. The job site address must be clearly noted on the JSA and discussed with all crew members in case of a need to call. All crews will need to refrain from climbing any pole or structure with visible cracking or breaking. Example, if a pole has been broken or cracked by a shifted crossarm, it is against MC Storm Service's safety procedures to climb. A new pole will have to be set, and all work will be performed from a new pole. A minimum of 2 crew members must be present while the pole is being climbed. Both crew members must be trained in first aid/CPR and pole top rescue. The climbing gear for the man on the ground must be at the work site and not on the truck for rescue purposes. The climber up the pole must have a handline attached to the pole or crossarm for rescue purposes. Qualified observer. A qualified observer is required while crew members are performing work by utilizing rubber gloves on conductors or equipment above 600 volts. The qualified observer must be positioned on the ground where he can see the lineman's hands and must be trained and prepared to perform emergency rescue procedures. Traffic control. All work on or adjacent to a public road, right-of-way, or job site roadway shall be performed in conformance to the requirements of all federal, state, and local traffic laws. Subcontractor shall furnish crews with road cones, stop/slow paddles, road signs, and other devices as required. Loading of poles and equipment. All loading of poles, transformers, and other equipment must be performed with an approved sling or lifting device that is labeled and rated for the weight being lifted. Pole tones are not to be used for the loading or unloading of poles. Care should be taken to avoid injury when working around pole piles. Be extra careful around temporary pole piles. Extreme temperatures. Care should be taken when working in extreme temperatures. In extreme heat, crew members should stay hydrated and take breaks, as needed, to avoid heat exhaustion. If you feel you are getting too hot, alert your supervisor immediately. In extreme cold, crew members should be properly dressed in layers. The outer layer must be FR clothing. Any tingling or numbness in your extremities should be reported to your supervisor immediately and care taken to get in a heated place and begin warming up. Incidentals. Timesheets must be signed by your coordinator and MC Storm Services representative. Foreman/PSE must inform an MC Storm Services representative if his or her crew sits for more than 1 hour without assigned work. All motorized vehicles must have MC Storm Services displayed on the vehicle. Do not dig without an emergency locate ticket.